So I woke up this morning with strong conviction in my heart after yesterday questioning the end of the book of Luke that I was reading, sensing something wasn't quite right. And then it was given to occur to me to understand. They were told to stay someplace until the Spirit came. These, in the final account, where supposedly Yahusha appeared to them on the road, on their way back to where they weren't supposed to have left. After repeated warnings, do not be misled, to wait like the virgins with the oil. That all kinds of things would happen, rumors of wars, this and that. Still, do not be misled. Wait for the Spirit. Instead, they left. They come across a fellow traveler. They don't know who he is. They don't recognize him. They recognized Moses and Elijah and Yahusha during his transformation. I mean, anybody else who didn't know him would have been like, this dude walked up there, there was this flash of light, these 3 angels appeared, the dude disappeared, and then when all the angels were gone, dude, come back, man. What happened to dude while they were up there? You know what I mean? They're on the road, and just their attitude, you know. Who are you that you don't know what's been going on? Why would we be upset? Feigning. Now, what kind of character would feign ignorance? Masquerade as somebody that they weren't. Picking off the wanderers away from the flock. Listening to them spill their emotional energy. And then preaching the gospel to them, the scriptures to them, who knew the scriptures well enough to contend with Yahusha himself over them. The scriptures say. And then when the women meet Yahusha, he says, don't touch me, I haven't gone my way to my Father yet. But these who had strayed from the flock were told, oh no, touch my wounds, here they are, give me food, I will eat. After Yahusha said, I will not eat. And we could say, just the Passover, he will not eat the Passover again until, God's kingdom is restored on earth. All his enemies are subdued by the Father. And so I realized that was a trap. That was a snare. They were misled. That was Satan picking on the strays, causing them to continue astray with this account. So now other people would think, oh, this could happen to them too. And Yahusha said, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. And yeah, he's in the flesh. So anyways, left that alone. Move on to the book of John. It says right in the beginning, this is an account of John the Baptizer. So the other books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, were accounts of disciples who were taught by Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So the book of John was the conveyance of what was taught by John the Baptist. But John the Baptist was beheaded before Yahusha was crucified. And so anything after John the Baptist being beheaded would not have been a testimony they would have gotten from John the Baptist. And after 3 other accounts saying repeatedly, the Father is greater than I am, praying to the Father, Father, why have you abandoned me? Father this, Father that, all worship goes to the Father, All of a sudden we have the Word was God, the Word became flesh and walked among men. And it's just very more metaphysical, Kabbalistic, and establishes the Trinity idea, which Yahusha did not. He prayed, Father, let them be one with you as I am. But why would he pray that they all be God if he was God too? Not making any sense. So again, all scripture is beneficial, yeah. And it's inspired of God, just like God inspired one of when he was up there in the heavens and said, okay, well, pitch us some ideas. Oh, well, we could send a lying spirit into all the prophets but one. Okay, so who wants to do that? They got a volunteer, went down to do it. It may be inspired of God to be included and beneficial for teaching. This is how we know that this was a lying spirit. Ooh! How we are like little lambs being led off to the slaughter. Oh my. But then I think about it like the example that I mentioned yesterday of the guy who came out of, the dark underworld and being one of the chosen of one of the elite families and undergoing all the suffering. And the one thing he could not let go of was getting vengeance. He could not let go of the trained murderer that he is. And someone said, or it could be said that Yahusha told his disciples, before I told you to go without, money, extra coat, without script, or food for your journey, or extra pair of sandals, but now I tell you to get all these things and a sword. They're going to be fugitives. And one of them pulls out the sword when they come to take Yahusha, and he cuts off the ear of the high priest servant, and Yahusha says, no, not in this case, let this be. They would be fugitives, and so they would need it for self-defense. But it is those who live by the sword that die by the sword. So we aren't out to just randomly kill evildoers, going rogue and all of that. And there will be times when it was like Egypt. Paint the lamb's blood on the doorpost, let death come and do its work. Let people, they're going to turn against one another. We're not to be involved in that. When the hordes are let out of the earth to express God's judgment, They aren't going to come after us. I've been, laying there like in a state, half asleep. Third eye opens, and I see this beast come through the veil. It's like a big turtle with claws. Wasn't your average turtle. And it's right there before me, as if it doesn't see me. And then all of a sudden, something catches its attention. It whips its head. And then it goes darting off. There is no need for me to slay this creature. We're reminded, be still and know that I am God. So maybe there are times when you gotta commit acts of self-defense. So far, I've had a boyfriend that I didn't know was, on crack, jump on me with a box cutter like he was gonna kill me. I played dead. Did not know what to do with that. And he jumped off me screaming and turned it on himself. I never saw him again. I left. But instances like that, where I've been saved by those intent on doing me harm, quite fantastically. Like, whoa. So with my experience of our Creator, how He protects and preserves, I'm not inclined to get into weaponry and stocking up on weapons and preparing to, fight the Alamo, protect the Alamo. And then in another case, there was a woman, she had a YouTube channel, and she started using it as a platform for people of satanic ritual abuse to be heard. And it was like this great gift to that community for those who leave. And most of them who leave, they don't go into mainstream churches. They find out, like, they don't use the Bible. They turn to the Sefer version. They use Yahusha. They don't say Jesus and stuff. So she's got this platform, and it's doing a lot of good and exposing a lot of information. And then she has this psychologist on who knows the ins and outs of these cruel people's minds workings. And somebody posted in the comments, this man's accused by his own daughter, and anybody that he's ever co-created with, who worked with him, speaks against him as being somebody who ritually abuses his daughter and abuses people. And so I did research, and it's all over the internet. This is a bad dude. And I was just like, I put it in the comments because she had him more than once, very close together, and she never responded to any of that. And so, as I was posting the warning, it just I'm not even allowed to pray for you. She knew. Instead of being truly turned off by all the violence she was hearing about, all the ritualistic stuff, she was enchanted by it. She wanted to know more. Not so she could help. So now suddenly she was capitalizing on these victims. And again, I ask, is there anybody out there? Anybody? I just pray. I'm not in physical shape to become a fugitive. I gotta work on that. I know. At the same time, for all these understandings to be given to me now, when things are only going to get worse, things are only going to get harder, leaves me feeling absolutely powerless. I can do nothing but depend on God to preserve and protect me. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it myself. Nope. I'm not even going to be able to flee up any mountains. I'm going to lose my wind halfway up the first hill I meet, which is on this very road. I ain't going nowhere. Oh boy. Hopefully my walk from here on out is going to be like those accounts where people are like, oh no, we didn't do anything to you because we saw the big guy standing behind you. It's like, there's no guy with me. Like, yeah, that was an angel showing himself so nobody will attack you. Let that be my story, because it's not going to be anything else. Though if I have to die of malpractice because I had an abortion, then, that's reasonable. It's reasonable. It's a violent and horrific death, and if that's where I have to go, that's what I have to do. Then that'll have to be it. Suck it up, because I'm going to wake up in freaking paradise, man. Let's just get this stuff over with. Let's just get it done. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off kind of girl. No creeping and letting the ankles and then the thighs get used to the... No. I'm cannonballing, man. Just cannonball me in. I learned you gotta walk in faith. It looks like a cliff. Jump. I do that. I land on the street with absolutely nothing, but I end up getting restored. I end up getting placed somewhere. Yep. Leaps of faith, man. On a wing and a prayer. The wings might not show up, but... Okay, so that's the whole point. Do not make an idol of Scripture. Don't do it. It's a tool, just like anything else, to sharpen our senses. Can you recognize truth? Can you recognize Yahusha's voice? Can you recognize the Father's voice? Have you learned the Father's ways? Or are you going to believe just because it was written down and included in the canon that, oh, this is his way too? There's no clarity. Do not make an idol of anything. Trust that our Creator, if we're sincere, will make himself known to us. And it may be a perspective presented by people who we are not to follow. Do not be a follower of men, any one of them. Even I am going to be given things to misspeak, to offend, so nobody starts following me. Nobody starts idolizing me and replacing me for their own relationship with our Creator. Don't turn to me for all the answers. If I help you along the way to develop a pattern for recognizing our Creator's way, a pattern for interaction that will help you with your own interactions with the Creator and the world around you, so be it. I'm honored to play that role. Do not follow me. I've done that to a woman when I was, doing spiritual teaching, guided meditation, psychic phone line. I was there. I was doing that. But I was learning to channel what oneness means. I was put in that position because there is nowhere in Christendom they're going to teach that. So I was allowed to wander off into this very evil field because of that. But this woman just kept calling me every time she had a problem, She was a friend. She wasn't being charged. I only took donations. I didn't charge by the hour or anything like that because it just stuck with me. I may not have been following God or the Bible, but it just resonated. What you have been given freely, what you receive freely, you give freely. So I could never, ever get over that. Never. I just could not. And so I only, I never paid for any courses, any clinics, any events. I just took, foraged. I'm a forager along the fields of all the religious tribes. a gleaner after the harvest. So, and I told her, stop, don't call me no more. Just don't do it. I don't want followers. It just did not feel right. So thank you for hearing. Thank you for being supportive of my journey. I don't not appreciate that. But don't become my disciple. You have someone whose example is there to follow. I'm just an example of discerning. Not everything written about him is true. Obviously. So yeah, there you go. My latest on fire about this stuff, man. On fire. Discernment. Use the scriptures for discernment. So be